Damn, that's fabulous.
Good morning, everyone. This is Jay Tahoe here, and the topic of today's video is going to be on finding the sweet spot. Not that sweet spot. What I mean is finding that balance in life where you're not too much of a dick, right? But you're also not a pushover. And I think this applies, in professional setting, in personal relationships, even in your own family, right? Because I've come across people who are in a situation in their family life where they're either too aggressive and unreasonable, or they're getting walked all over, even by their own family, and of course in romantic relationships, right? You want a good balance. You don't want to be too much of, an aggressive dick, but you also don't want to be a pushover and getting walked all over. And I think, it's hard to find that balance. I think a lot of us go through life, at either one extreme or the other, or react to the bad results of one extreme by going to the other extreme, which also isn't helpful. So, I spent a lot of my younger years, I guess, thinking that when you go out of your way to help people, that it'll always be reciprocated, and it was a life learning experience to find out, right, that's not the case. Um, so, but you also don't want, and but then when you're overly aggressive with people and demanding, and then that also turns people off, and they don't want to associate with you anymore. Okay, so I've been a manager for a long time now, right? I've had several management jobs, and what I've learned is, you have to lay down the law, right? So, like, when people, act in ways that they shouldn't, or do things that they, know that they shouldn't be doing, you do have to hold people accountable, whether that's letting people go, or whether that's, just giving them writing them up, and, setting an expectation for what to do going forward. You do need to do that, right? And I've done that, in a entirely fair and unbiased manner. I've plenty of people, who, you could say, I know we're trying to move away. I'm moving away from this, black pill stuff. But yeah, I had to. I fired, actually, a woman who, I guess you could say, was conventionally attractive, because she was using inappropriate language towards her coworker, and there were witnesses, and you have to treat everybody fairly. I wouldn't tolerate that behavior from anybody, no matter who it's coming from. So, you do have to draw that line in the sand, and stick to it 100% of the time. If something's not acceptable for one person, it's not acceptable for anyone else. At least in the workplace, from a management standpoint, that's how I look at it. Now, then you have the opposite end of that spectrum, right, where you have people who get walked all over, and then it's at the point where people aren't getting their job done, right. So that's why you have to establish that line that you're not going to let people cross. But that being said, you do need to be reasonable with people, right? Like, for example, if people want to switch a shift, and Billy's gonna work for Jimmy, Saturday versus Sunday, as long as somebody's in the seat, then who cares? Be reasonable, work with people, because you have that other end too, where if you're too aggressive and too unreasonable and too demanding, then nobody wants to work for you, and one of two things happens: either people check out and they don't do a good job anymore, and you look bad and they look bad, and it's not a good situation for anybody, or B, they just leave, because people will leave a bad boss. It happened to me. I learned this a few years ago. Okay, I used to work at a company called Radio Shack, and my first district manager, he promoted me to store manager. This was back in like 2013, and I was only 23 years old then. And what had happened was, me and that guy, we got along great, and he liked my work, and we were cool. Then he got promoted to like a regional manager position, and I got a new district manager, and for whatever reason, we just didn't rub each other right in the beginning. Um, he found like 3 wrong price tags in my store or something, which, You know, if you guys remember Radio Shack, there was like something like 4,000 price tags, you know, in the store. And there were ones in the district, you know, that I can guarantee had a lot more than three that, you know, he would find wrong. But he's like, oh, you know, if this happens again, I'm going to rate you up. And, you know, he had some comments about, you know, me being too young for the job and stuff. So, you know, once I got wind that was going to happen, you know, I was like, I'm going to just look for something else and get something else. And I think it was about 3 weeks later, once I realized that me and this guy could not coexist together, because no matter what I did, you know, we just weren't gonna mesh well. We weren't gonna get along. So, and I wasn't rude or disrespectful. I cleaned up the store for the next manager, you know, to make it a good experience for them. But I was like, no, man, like if you treat me like that, I'm gonna go do something else. And you know what? Not for nothing, you know, I did pretty well at that job. I've had stuff like a 35% sales growth, you know, month over month. So, you know, whatever. I look at it as, you know, his loss. I moved on to something else and got promoted again quickly, and you know, it's been happening ever since. So I look at that. That was like an example of, you know, you're not gonna. There's a certain limit to the amount of nonsense you're gonna take, and that was it. So I think it's, you know, when you find like that middle spot, you're always in a good space. Because I can see some people, you know, freaking out and, you know, either one like bugging out on the guy, and you know, oh, I'm gonna, you know, if I'd stuck around, it probably would have been a human resources conversation, right? Because he apparently didn't like a couple of other younger managers too. So maybe he just didn't like young people. Maybe it was age discrimination. Who knows? I just know that I wasn't going to continue working for that guy because, you know, the way he was treating me, you know, it wasn't okay. That's not to say that, like, you know, you should, you know, quit or, you know, make demands at the slightest inconvenience. You have to do that calculus for yourself and decide, hey, what's my line? You know, what am I not gonna tolerate? What is just unacceptable to me? So I think that's an important thing, you know, to ask yourself. And at the end of the day, you know, you want to just make sure that strictly from an employment standpoint, employment's a two-way street, right? You know, the management needs the labor, and you know, you need the job or the money. So I would say, you know, you always want to do well to the point where you're one of the top performers and they need your labor, right? Because listen, you might think that like everybody is replaceable, and you know, but honestly, like getting like someone who's really efficient, that does command respect, right? You know, that does make people think twice about, you know, you want to make sure people who are doing well are happy. I mean, ideally you want to make sure everybody's happy, but you know, if somebody's performing well, a lot of times, you know, you're going to see that your management will, you know, be more open to negotiation with you, and you're probably going to get promoted. It's just you know, so that's a good thing to always strive for, no matter what you're doing, right? I've always, you know, even back in the day when I was the cart guy, I'm like, okay, like whether I'm the manager or the janitor, I want to do the best job that I can do, and you know, take pride in my work. So, you know, even when I was like I think when I was like 16 years old, I was like the cart boy at a grocery store or whatever. But anyway, yeah, like that. So it's again, once you find like that middle point in how to, you know, handle interactions, life becomes I won't say easier, but like interactions with people definitely become easier, because you send the message that you're not going to be walked all over, but you also don't send the message that you're going to be an a-hole, and you know, you're going to try to be demanding and, you know, pressure people into doing things. You come off as a reasonable person. So I think that that's something a lot of people should think about. And you know, when making decisions in life, you know, be like, hey, you know, how reasonable is this? One, am I getting what I want out of this deal? And two, are like, you know, the other parties involved, is this a good cohesive relationship, you know, that works? And if the answer is no, sometimes you do have to walk away. That's something I've learned too. But you know, the way I look at it, right, there's always there's always another job, right? There's always another relationship. There's always another friend. Okay, I mean, hey, how many of you guys have had a friend who blatantly backstabbed you or did something that was, entirely unacceptable, right? And you had to, cut that person out of your life or not be friends with them anymore. Probably, if we're being honest, probably a lot of us. I certainly have. There's people, in my life that I don't talk to anymore because, their actions warranted that. I look at it this way, you want to give people, I trust people until they give me a reason not to. And I think that's a good mantra to live by, right? I think you should, give people the benefit of the doubt until they, their actions demonstrate a reason why you shouldn't. I think you'll be a lot, you'll sleep a lot easier if you adopt that mantra, I think. Because who really wants to sleep with one eye open thinking, oh my God, what if what if this person backstabs me? What if they betray me? I'm certainly not going to waste time worrying about that. If they do it, you address it and take the appropriate action. And sometimes that appropriate action is cutting that person out of your life. Sometimes look, I've had friends, in the past where we've gotten into a fist fight. It was that bad. And sometimes sometimes such a line was crossed that was the appropriate action to take. Hopefully not. I'm not advocating for that or anything, but sometimes, unfortunately, are those situations, where it does come down to that. But anyway, but again, right, it's like you cross that line. Like if somebody tries to harm you, you defend yourself. You don't just sit there and take it. Is the point I'm trying to make. So, but yeah, it's just I see so much of one extreme or another. You have the people who are very demanding and aggressive to the point where everybody just thinks that they're an a-hole and doesn't want to associate with them. And then you have the people who are such a pushover that they let everybody get away with everything, and they continue to get taken advantage of. It's really once you find that sweet spot right in the middle, that you'll navigate, interpersonal relationships a lot better. And, while sticking up for what you want at the end of the day, right? I mean, life is short, so you got to make sure that things are a good deal for you. And I know, this video, I guess, was kind of vague because, I didn't give too many specific examples from my own life. I mean, there's been plenty. I mean, I'm sure, I could, recall several, but I guess the point here is just, to sit on that, to think about that, and, with any luck, apply it to your own life. Anyway, good luck everyone, and I will see you in the next video.